Well, I'm so excited to do this with you. Can you first give the audience a little bit about yourself, a quick little introduction, a bio?
Bio? Yeah, no problem at all. My name is Inderpal Chawla. I'm an active executive chef. I've been practicing culinary arts and hospitality industry for well over 15 years. I'm born and raised in Northern Virginia, right outside of Woodbridge, Virginia, border of Manassas, near Dale City. Lived and worked in Virginia, probably for almost like 10, 15 years. And then after that, I started working for the Marriott and the Ritz-Carlton Company, traveled the world with them. God, how long have I lived in Columbus? 4.5, 5 years. Before this, me and my wife moved about 5 times in 5 years. Across states, not like in cities to cities, states to states,
Uh-huh.
either for my job or for hers. Um, let's see what else. I've lived and worked all around Europe.
That's
There's a
amazing.
lot about me. I've cooked for the current and last two U.S. presidents. I've done pretty much a lot of cool stuff with the Ritz-Carlton, a lot of high-end clientele. In Northern Virginia, where Michelle Obama was president, she started a program called Chefs Move to School. I was one of the chefs on her program, basically to start basically integrating like chefs into basically going to like schools and teaching minorities and like families in the WIC program or like young kids how to basically like eat healthy
Hmm.
instead of eating like French fries, like how to like cut potatoes, bake potatoes, read nutritional labels. I don't know, I mean, this is a water, but I'm gonna show you a nutritional label, but it doesn't work. But yeah, it's really about me. I mean, grew up in Virginia. It's an odd profession for an Indian person to do.
It is. It's definitely, well, I want to definitely go back and like start from your childhood. Like it's not a profession, chef barna, it's not like apne Punjabi community, but like, doctor, lawyer, those are the things we do, right? And for this, how did you land into this? And yeah, I want to start from the way beginning. Like I know we have
So,
like a crowd that we mix too, so it's like back in the
no,
Woodbridge
no, no.
days and all that.
No, you're fine. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, our people, we're one of a couple of things. Either we're doctors, we're lawyers, we're engineers, or we're into IT work, you know.
Mhm.
Our career is chosen by our parents before we even know what a career is, you know. A lot of people, I mean, a lot of Indian people, they're like, "Oh, mera beta ab ban jayega," or like my beti is gonna be this, but people don't realize. I'm sorry to say this, but people don't realize your parents are gonna go before you go, you know. You're gonna live a life where you're gonna ask a lot of what ifs and whys and a lot of things, you know.
Hmm.
I believe as an adult, as a human, you have to take responsibility, ownership, and understanding if you make a mistake, it's you that made it. It's not your parents, it's you yourself that made that, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so I went through a lot. I mean, my parents were a little rough on me when I was growing up, meaning that I was in school and right after high school, middle school, I was immediately going to a job and getting a work, after school work. So, I mean, I always had the sense of value of a dollar, I always understood how hard it is. Um, I mean, I'm old, man. In 1998, uh, was when I first started working at a place in Potomac Mills Mall. It was called Villa Pizza. So cooking was always a thing for me. Um, I mean, I worked there. That was my first like kind of cooking job that I had. Once I graduated high school, it was like the cooking is not for like our people, and it's just like why not? It's just like well, what's wrong with it? And then I went into college and I got a bachelor's in science. I was doing ADJ, Administration of Justice. I wanted to be like the cop on Training Day. If you've seen the movie Training Day, so,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But I realized that type of life doesn't exist. So it was kind of that. In 2007, my little brother, my best friend Simran, he got murdered in Virginia, and it shook me a lot. It shook me a lot. That same year, my dad had 3 heart attacks. My dad is one of the healthiest people that you'll meet. I mean, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, exercises, doesn't need red meat, nothing. So it was kind of a shocking to see that somebody like him would have that. But all these type of things kind of brought me back to my adolescent years, my childhood days, and I started running around with the like same running around with the bad crowd, bad people. The neighborhood I grew up in, we're only given a couple of options. Um, we're given either you die, you go to jail, or you're on the run kind of thing, you know.
Mm,
I didn't look at any of these like that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, you know. Sitting there trying to figure out my life, I see an ad on TV for Art Institute. Um, so I'm with my I have twin sisters, by the way. So I'm with one of my sisters, and she's like, call them, and doesn't hurt. So I called the number, and the lady was very intrigued on the phone. She was just like, "Oh yeah, come by, we'll give you a free tour, blase blase." So I said, "Okay, that's cool. Give me get a free tour." And the first chef I met was his name was Edwin Schuley. He was a certified German master chef. He was Barack Obama's chef for 8 years at the West Wing of the White House.
mm.
So first chef I ever met in my life. And it's not my whole time is how Indian community thinks. Chefs are like people that run like McDonald's, fast foods, Wendy's, you know, Taco Bell. That's how I can't tell you how many um, Indian people in the community that I met, and that's how they looked at me. They looked at me as a chef from McDonald's, a chef for something. And I never cared because at the end of the day, it's my life that I live. You know, it's not anybody else's. So I mean, he was one of the first guys I met, and he opened my eyes a lot. He opened my eyes a lot to what culinary arts is. You know, what you can do if you put the work into it. You know, um, it's not easy. It's not at all. I
That I
mean,
would just want to touch base on just what you said is like, especially when you get a mentor, कोई लभ जावे that you can sort of look, to like, okay, maybe a path हैगी that I can do, right? And that's what our community
yeah.
lacks is that आप ਨੂੰ दिस नहीं ਰਿਹਾ, where is another brown person doing this? And for you to actually find that mentor, I love that for you.
It's not just finding. I mean, I think I've just been blessed. I mean, I've found many mentors. I mean, all throughout my journey here. I mean, I met him. Um, Culinary Arts was a 2 year program. I spent a year in basically in DC going to school. And it wasn't easy. I mean, telling my parents I wanted to go back to school. Uh, they were not open for that at all. So I mean, you end up going from like a 45-minute like car commute to selling your car so you can just pay for books and tuition. So now you're taking a 45-minute commute to a 2 hour plus public transportation walking commute, you know, one way.
Mm,
So I mean, it was difficult, you know, but I never gave up. As much as, you know, life throws at you, you just take it with a grain of salt and smile. That's how I always look at it, you know. And the main thing is like you still got a roof over your head, you still got food in your belly, you know, you still got something in your account, you know, you're still breathing. That's more than life than most people have in the world, you know, no
yeah.
matter how hard life is. But I mean, yeah, my second year of culinary school, he recommended I go to Italy, and I ended up living, working, and studying it all over in Italy. Not a city that I don't know in Italy. I mean, I can speak some Italian, but I understand it more. My chef in Italy is like was the one that opened a lot of doors for me too. So I mean, he's my mentor as well. I ended up working in Italy, in Dublin, Ireland, places like that. I met a guy named John. I just talked to John this morning. He's like my lifelong like mentor, my brother. I mean, he was a guy that at like mid 40s he stopped basically doing like 6 to 9 figure Wall Street trading and just decided to go to culinary school. And he Wegmans grocery stores in all around USA. He opened all the cheese shops and all the Wegmans in the USA. He's like a cheese god. That's why I call him like he could smell a piece of cheese and tell you he could tell you if like the mother cow gave birth to like what animal. It's insane the amount of stuff I mean, he can tell you if the cow lost her baby somehow in the process of the milk. I don't know, it's really weird stuff that he knows. But I mean, like you said, meeting people along the ways, you know, I met him. So I mean, you know, I came back. And then when you come back, you know, it's not like you go to college and you get like an immediate like $80,000 job, you know. My first culinary job was less than $12 an hour, you know. And you're like, holy shit, dude, I've been going to school for God knows how many years, and this is all I'm worth, you know. But it's I always say never chase finances, chase an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know what that opportunity is going to chase and bring for you. You know, it's always blessings that you chase. You don't chase a financial number. Numbers come and go in life, you know, but blessings never come and go, you know. But I ended up coming back, and I ended up working for a guy named John actually told me to open up a LinkedIn profile, which I did. A week or so later, Marriott ended up reaching out to me saying that my credentials matched something that they were looking for. So my first Marriott chef was Jeff Murray. He was Mr. Marriott's personal chef and private chef for 16 years. So really cool. In Tysons Corner, Virginia was where we transitioned. We opened up a restaurant, me and him, inside of Tysons Corner Marriott. We closed down Don Shula's steakhouse. We opened up our own thing called Shutter's Bar and Grill. Let's see, from there, we did a lot of cool things. We did some activities at the Marriott's family for Thanksgiving. We did Christmas, New Year's at theirs. Um, Fun fact, Marriott only has one bed and breakfast in the entire world, and that's in Shenandoah Valley. It's
Oh,
actually open to the public. It's actually open to the it's like 5,000 or 6,000 acres. It's a massive, massive like bed and breakfast that they have there.
I did not know
Um,
that.
yeah, yeah. It's only one in the world, and that's in Shenandoah Valley. And then from there, he recommends so working for the Ritz-Carlton, you don't apply, you have to get recommended.
Mhm.
Which happened to me. I ended up getting recommended for the Ritz. And the chef I ended up working, his name was Chef Canardo, a Canardo holder. And he opened up all the UAE hotels in UAE, all the Dubai properties, all the Ritzes, anything that's a high-end hotel in UAE, he ended up opening all of them himself. So it was a cool journey with him. He was a very he taught me a lot about what a chef is, like the culture, the people we are, you know. When you work for the Ritz, it opens your eyes a lot to the public, a lot of like the luxury life, like a lot how the rich think, a lot, you know, when you're paying like $11,000 a night for a hotel, it's not like you're not getting your average people on the streets. I mean, you're talking about people that can pay 50 grand for 1 week's worth of stay, and which is nothing for them, you know. But I mean, he's a great mentor. I mean, I all these people I'm naming, I still talk to him to this day. If I haven't talked to him this week, I've talked to him this morning, you know. Um,
So
so
how
I
is
mean, Marriott.
Oh, go ahead.
No, what were we saying?
I was gonna say that like exactly what you're saying, the mindset. So like coming from you know, Woodbridge, you know, Northern Virginia, right? And then going from this Ritz-Carlton, you know, Tyson's Corner mindset is a totally mind shift, you know, as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
how
mean,
was that?
you're talking about, yeah, I mean, you're talking about somebody that would sit on a street corner, on a street block corner and, you know, hustle and stuff just to make ends meet to somebody who's selling $1,000 per pound steak to a person, you know. I mean, the mindset's totally different. I mean, it makes you think twice. It makes you think twice about all your hardships in life. It makes you wonder, you know, everything that you did in life, you know, all the times that you shed a tear, all the times that you were in vain, you know, everything, you know, it makes you think like you never gave up though, you know, it makes you wonder that was this your really true calling, you know, and then you keep pushing yourself further and further, you know. Just before we got on this, I asked you about sick lens, you know, about them. I connected with them. I just got the okay to say it. You're the first one I'm telling, but I just got the okay. They actually want to do a documentary and everything, which is on me and everything, which is beast mode, you know?
That's
And it
amazing.
makes you, yeah, yeah, you know. I mean, it's you never give up, man. You know, you never give up. You keep pushing yourself till ends meet, you know? And that's something that I get inspired a lot. I mean, I see my wife doing it every day. I mean, she comes home after an 8 hour shift and she is on the computer or like, you know, like doing things all around the world, you know. Um, like, you know, just opening up just new ideas and everything. So I get inspired people like her, my mentors. I mean, just different people like yourself too. You know, you're bringing awareness to the public, you know, the youth and everything about six, you know, about what we can do. You know, that's the same thing what I'm trying to do is to tell youth that like you can do anything in the world you want to. You know, it's not as long as you can spark that innovation in somebody, that's the biggest joy for me I see. You know, it's not any monetary gift, it's not anything. It's just seeing that somebody did something because of you, you know, because they know that you didn't give up or they know that something is something, you know. Think about that, Supreet. You know, so maybe 10 years from now, there may be another Sherni Vision. Maybe not might be you, but it might be your daughter, it might be somebody that you inspired to be a sick podcaster, you know. It's different things like this that you think about, you know, like what you say and how you say it and like what you carry and how you carry it, you know. But
Definitely.
I mean, no, it's different. I mean, but not getting back, I mean, I was at the Ritz. I was with them for a little more than 2 years. I did, man, the Ritz was amazing. I did a lot of private aviation work, a lot of opening up hotels, closing hotels. Um, I was the guy that would increase employee morale. And it's weird, man. You coming from like the projects, the ghetto, you know, Section 8 housing, and then you're the guy that's increasing people's morals. It's like such an opposite thing, you know. But it's stuff that you see in real life that you know that you never want somebody to go through or somebody to feel, so you make sure that the opposite happens for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry. But I mean, it's so from them, I ended up moving to where did I go from there?
So you were changing
The
roles.
Galo.
So like not only like a chef role, but like also like a manager role. So AB काफी कुछ है क्या?
Yeah,
Does that, है ना?
yeah. I mean, it's different roles. I mean, the Ritz Carlton was different, and then going from the Ritz, I went to the Marriott. So the Gaylord Opryland in Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, that one is Marriott's largest non-gaming hotel in the world. They have 2,800 rooms, 20 restaurants, three rainforest, indoor outdoor rainforest. They're like a 3 acre water park. So I mean, you're going from like a small like ultra luxury hotel to like a huge hotel like that itself. So I ended up going to there. And then my wife got a better opportunity in Ohio and Columbus, and I made her move. She made me move. So it was just kind of a thing that we happened to be into Columbus.
Mhm.
And now I'm here in Columbus, Ohio, trying to make a change. So there's no like Marriott's or Ritz-Carlton's here in Columbus. There is a Ritz in Cleveland, but I mean that's an hour and a half to 2 hour drive away. But I mean there's really not much Marriott's or Ritz's here. So I mean, that was a downfall when I moved here was was that, what am I going to continue? How am I going to continue it? So it was a difficult transition to get out of the hotel scenario that I've been doing for 7+ years. But then what hit hard was COVID. When COVID hit, I mean, everything that was hospitality, anything that had to do with food related, everything tanked. I mean, we're still missing 39,000 jobs in just the hospitality and culinary industry itself. And it's been almost 2 years after COVID, 3 years almost. So, I mean, we're still missing so many jobs. But I mean, it's, it's a difficult transition, but I mean, we're starting to see things pick up now, into what it's going to. The current role that I'm in right now, I work for a company called Giant Eagle. They're basically a grocery store, but then they have one called Market District, and that's what I'm employed with is Market District. So if you can imagine, Market District, there's 20 of them in 4 different states. But if you can imagine like a Wegmans and a Whole Foods had a baby, that would be a Market District. So that's kind of like the way. So it was interesting, like last year, not this year, but last January, it was interesting to see a grocery store have openings for like executive chefs or for chefs to do it. But then I said, what, let's take a chance and let's do it. And it's been a very even I've been doing culinary arts for 15 years, I'm still learning something new every day at this place, which is something that I strive for. I always don't want to hit mediocrity. I always want to be above and beyond. So that's something that I would see at this place. I mean, from not only just following USDA and FDA protocols and regulations, but I mean, we're um we're heavily influenced on like locality of like farmers, helping people out, small businesses. A lot of our products are locally sourced, so I mean, it's a huge involvement. Um, it's not just putting out food. I think that's a lot of things. A lot of chefs in the beginning of their career, their uh their mentality and their focus is basically taking a product and making the best and creating the most ultra fancy things.
Mhm.
But I think as I sound old now from what I'm about to say, but as maturity kicks in and as you look into this field, you realize that it's not about the food, it's about where the food comes from, which is the farmers. It's about understanding that all this has happened is because of the farmers. It's all because of this. I mean, as a chef, you're responsible to represent them. You're not here to represent and make something cool, like make it asparagus foam, show why the asparagus is here, why it died, what it is. It's a different mentality of things.
That's so
So
I mean that goes so much aligning with like what's happening in India, Punjab, the farmer protest. I mean हर एक जगह ਤੇ it's खाने ਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ. We're fighting for food eventually. That's what it boils
yeah,
down. And it is about the farmers. You're exactly right. I would like with all this happening, inna kuch life to hunda, you're married, you're traveling, you're changing jobs and like pivoting as well. Like, how do you keep up with your mindset? Like, what is your daily routine like? or you I see that you're already making those calls, which is great. I think that age you need a group of people that you can call and, talk out stuff, right? But what is your routine like, you know?
My routine. Um, Man, I don't got a routine, Supreet. Every day is a different day for me.
Which is good, right?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I've never had the same day twice. I don't think I've ever had that. I think it's because of my career. My career, you don't cook. Excuse me, you don't cook the same thing twice. You cook to what it is, business demands. I don't. My routine is, I mean, pretty much. I wake up. I mean, I'm blessed to wake up, and then I mean, from there, it is what it is. The day it plays out how it plays out, you know. And then I come home, between me and my wife. Then I cook dinner. We're getting dinner going, and then I mean, it's the same thing going from there. I mean, I listen to a lot of music. I mean, a lot of music. I think is my like channel of like zoning out or trying to get back into the focus, into the groove. I look at that. I mean, I don't I don't yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a nerd. I mean, I'll spend some of my time at grocery stores or at places where like on my phone under my notes, and I'll write down like new products that are coming into season, what's happening, what's not happening, and I'll think of like things and like how to enhance those products and what to do with those products. Even after 15 years, I'm still writing stuff like cucumbers, and I'm like, I know what to do with the cucumber, but you know. Can we do like cucumber foams? Can we take the seeds of a cucumber and dehydrate them and grind them into a powder and then make that powder on top of a martini? Or can we take that powder and dust pita chips with it? It's stuff like this. I challenge myself. It's weird. I I don't think
It's
like an
not
average
weird, it's
person.
fun.
Sorry.
Creative.
But I mean, no, I don't have a routine, to tell you the truth. I don't have like a routine to like break down. I mean, I thank God every day that I'm alive, and I thank God that I put my head down
That's
every
a
day. I mean,
routine itself, being thankful, showing.
yeah, I mean, that's probably my only routine that I have. I mean, every day. I don't think of anything else.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I pretty much that's the only thing. I'm always busy. I'm always working. I'm always doing something to keep myself active. I rarely do I have a downtime. I mean, like I said, I'm inspired a lot by my wife. My wife is the same way. She never has a downtime either. She's always up and going and up and running. So, I mean, I think it's just energy levels match energy levels, kind of. That's what I look at it as.
I love that. And so, like, also being a sick man going into this, what were the kind of difficulties or hardships that you may have seen? You kept your sarup throughout the whole journey, so that's amazing, I feel like. And especially when you're creating this path for our community, it's very important. And I know me and you go with like sidhus and motivational talks and things like that, but I'd love to hear your journeys and experiences.
It was a difficult journey. I mean, a lot of when I decided to do this, a lot of Indian people, excuse me, a lot of Indian people, they didn't accept for what this was, this type of journey. It was a very difficult path to take. But not just for yourself, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, when you're young, I think you're trying to show others, but the reality is, like, when you get older, it's not about showing others. It's about keeping true to yourself. It's about basically being humble and content to yourself. At a young age, you're given this talent and you got all this hyped up and everything, and you're trying to basically be like, look at me, look at me. But in reality, you don't need to look at me. You need to worry about yourself. That's the main thing. I mean, it was difficult. I mean, like you said, keeping your hair, keeping your faith, keeping everything. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, that's a concern, that's a belief, but and more of the end of the day is am I going to see tomorrow? Am I going to be here tomorrow to tell my story and my journey to somebody? Having all this and everything is an added bonus and added faith, to it. Um, but I mean, it was difficult in the very beginning because everybody doubted you and everybody thinks twice. They're just like, oh my God, like mera munde itna paisa nahi milta hai, or like, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. It's a difficult journey. Um, but I mean, but it's about you not giving up. It's about you understanding that this is what you want to do and this is what you're going to do. And if you make a mistake, it's about you owning up to that mistake and saying that, what, I effed up. And I not only did I F up, but that's a life lesson I learned. So it's not a mistake. In reality, it's a lesson that I learned. So then it's just like, okay, what can I do next to do that? That's how my chef in Italy worked a lot too. he would give us recipes that were in Italian that we had no clue what they were. But if you make a mistake, it's not you didn't make a mistake into it. I mean, baking and pastries takes a lot of patience. So I mean, it's not like I can cook a chicken marsala and add more salt to it and be okay. Baking and pastries, like you make a cake and you spend 3 hours and you don't put enough sugar. Now that whole 3 hours you just did is wasted. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like life lessons where you learn if you didn't add enough sugar, what can you do now? Now you can add a simple syrup to basically coat that cake to make it sweet. You can add powdered sugar to it. So in reality, you're learning these things as you go along. So every day is a new learning lesson.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, even when you get into relationships, it's very hard. I clicked with my wife very well because she was one of the only ones that never judged a book by its cover. Instead she wanted to write more chapters in my book. She wanted to enhance a book, which I think was a bad benefit to it. It's yeah, like I said, it's just you never giving up. You brought up the word Sidhu. I listen to him like a lot. Like I listen to see how he sparked the youth, how he sparked the people and just simple things. I mean, he didn't do nothing special but sing. He didn't do anything but sing, keep himself humble and content. He never forgot where he came from. And he didn't. He went back to his roots and he showed that even I have all this success, I'm still on a tractor, still farming my land. This is who I am. It's the same thing. I mean, you just don't I always say, never ever forget how you got to where you got.
Yeah.
No matter what you did, and same with the people that got you there.
Yeah.
It's just staying true to yourself. Is like the most I could say to you. Is understanding understanding who you are, what you are, and what you want to go, and how you want to get to it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, get to where you are. So what are you planning? Koi khichdi pak rahi hai or something? I guess that would be the right terminology here.
No, when I'm planning, not planning anything. I'm just planning to see day to day. But I mean, what I'm realizing now is I think I'm at that point where I want to spark change in the youth. I want to motivate other kids. I want to motivate especially sick. I want to motivate sick community and sick kids that you can go into a different career option and field and be successful. No matter what the noise is, around you, surrounding you, whatever the noise is, but it's not about that noise. It's about you silencing them out and focusing on yourself. I want to be somebody that can go into a school or want to go to somebody and do something and tell them that you can do whatever you want. Later on down the road, I would love to go back home to Dale City or even where I'm from and just open up a nonprofit culinary school. Take kids off the streets and basically teach them how to cook and how to basically read recipes and stuff like that. Something that's I want to do down the road. I mean, maybe not yet, but these are like visions that I have in like the next 10 years, 15 years. I think about like stuff like this.
I love that. I mean, like, I feel like you're already doing that. Starting small, it starts from home, kare shuru hunda hai. And especially with our community, bande da already need kitchen to this they hunde, right? And you're leaving
Yeah,
that perspective. And I think Sikhi is amazing because, langar haj sare hunde, everybody's equal, everybody participates, right? But we need more exposure. Me personally, my son, he'll be in the kitchen. Granted, I don't know where my daughter usually is, but onu cha hai gaya. Like my son, he's like, okay, like what do I do? But it's like we need to, nurture that as well. Doesn't matter the sex of the kid, but it's giving that space for our community because har ek ne khana hai gaya, right? But
yeah.
it's about how you make that air comfortable, right? And space for that.
No, definitely. That's actually kind of why I got into this field. I mean, I looked at it as food is a necessity, so therefore chefs are going to be a necessity. I mean, that's the thing I looked at it as too. I mean, no matter if I'm feeding a president, no matter if I'm flipping a burger anywhere in the world, it's still somebody's got to eat something. I mean, even if it's not just even humans, I mean, you look at it even as pets. I mean, when I used to have a dog and we used to make our own dog food at the home. It's the same thing. It's about like fanning your mind. And but you're right, having kids in the kitchen is a huge thing. That's why when I was growing up, my mom and dad they always had a small garden outside of our house, and we would always like barter and trade in the community, with our garden. So I mean, it was amazing at a young age. I grew up with a lot of Rastafarians too. I grew up with a lot of Jamaicans. So I mean, it was amazing to see a lot of like curries and growing up, and I'm like, dude, we do the same curries, talking to my friend like, Rashad, and Rashad's just like, oh, my mom made goat, and I'm like, do we make goat too? And it's just like seeing different flavors in the kitchens. But I mean,
Yeah.
I contribute a lot to my parents because My mom, like I said, always had a garden, and I always was learning in the kitchen. Like our breakfast, dinners, lunches all came from our backyard. I mean, majority of the subgies and everything were in the backyard, you know. So I mean, all throughout my life, I always saw my dad tilling the yard, plowing the yard. I mean, moving grass, moving soils, planting seeds, pruning. I mean, harvesting. I mean, you name a thing. I mean, it was something as a young kid, like as an Indian boy, like you don't think twice. You don't think like there's a kid growing up in a kitchen in a farm in his house in Woodbridge, you know. But I
Yeah.
mean, it really was, you know. So I mean, I contribute a lot that to my parents. So I mean, when I told them to go back to school, and they were like, "Well, why do you want to do this?" I'm like, "Well, this is what you made me do for all my life, man. It's just like you made me learn every summer, every spring, every winter, and now you're questioning why I want to do this for the rest of my life, you know." So it's
Hmm.
kind of a funny thing, but I yeah, I mean, I think there has to be more value and has to be more sense in kids to know that cooking is it's something that you should know. It should be something that you don't just go out and pick up a pack of ramen and you go in the microwave and you heat it up, you know. There should be something how to boil water, make pasta, you know, make it from scratch, you know. Making pasta is extremely easy. It's only four ingredients. It's a cup of flour, one egg, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And that's really how you make pasta. That's done, you
Even a
know?
tadka is easy. It just ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਜਿਹਾ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, but it's just that no one wants to put the effort in, you know? They want the
Yeah.
masala, you want the flavorful food. No one wants like the pack and basic noodles or pasta. Even my son, I make him pasta. Like I love pasta. And so I'll get creative with it. But then when he smells like Nani mom making roti and sabji, he's like, I think I'm gonna go sit with Nanu over there.
I mean, you have some famous Indian chefs around the world. I mean, you look at a guy, one of the first Michelin star chefs. I actually got to meet him once, Vikas Khanna in New York, you know. I mean, look at these Indian chefs. He started off as kind of like a homeless guy in Amritsar, Golden Temple area,
Mm.
and now he's I mean all around the world. I mean, I don't know if you follow him on IG or anything, but I love reading his stories and how he got to where he got. When I lived in Nashville, there was a chef named Manit Chauhan. I don't know if you know her. She was the first Indian lady on Chopped, on the Indian show Chopped. So she was opening up a restaurant in Nashville, and I linked with her because she was like, "Oh, there's a Ritz-Carlton chef moving to the city," and I was like, "Yes, me and her linked." But I mean, you know, it's bringing a lot of these like Indian chefs. I believe, some of them forget their roots, some of them don't. But I mean, it's all about bringing awareness, you know. Um, but I mean, I'm getting back to what you were saying, tadka. I mean, that's really funny. I mean, I don't know if any kid wants to make tadka at that age because all the oil popping and all the seeds going everywhere. So I mean, I think we gotta take baby steps, Supreet. You know, let's not
I
jump
know.
into doing like a
I'm
tadka
looking forward to
immediately.
the tomatoes. The tomatoes.
The first time my wife made me do a tadka, I was freaked out. I was like, "Holy shit! There's a jwan flying everywhere." I was like, "So this is not something." I was like, even after 10 years of cooking, I still was like, "Oh, there's all this happening," you know? So,
I'm just all about teaching my kids everything. I was like, a basic life skills in there that we have to teach our kids, right? But
yeah.
it's lost, and exactly what you're saying. I feel like nowadays, Whole Foods is a little too easy, Instacart is a little too easy, but ਕਿੰਨਾ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਮਾਪਿਓ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ about growing that little garden in the back, ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਸਬਜ਼ੀਆਂ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਕਿਨੇ ਬਣਾਈ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸਬਜ਼ੀ ਇੰਨੀ ਸਵਾਦ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ compared to the ones that you get from Whole Foods, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, nowadays you don't even know the amount of chemicals and pesticides
Yeah.
and stuff that they're adding. Even at like places like Whole Foods, I mean, Fresh in Time, I mean, Trader Joe's, I mean, all these places you don't know. It's interesting. I always say this. I say it's kind of ironic that organic food is more expensive than food that comes from a science lab. Food that's from a science lab is cheaper than food that naturally grows, and that tells you something automatically about the mindset of this country.
Yeah.
It tells you like how is adding chemicals and making food in a science lab cheaper than food growing naturally outdoors with its own rain, its own sun. Like, does that make it doesn't make it says a lot when
Make
you
it
break
make
it down,
sense.
you know? But I mean, I think that every kid should learn basics in the kitchen. I mean, my basic first thing was chai. Chai was like my
Yeah.
first thing I make, you know. So I can tell you, I'm like a chai expert. I love making chai. That's one of my favorite things to do. I mean, I don't drink as much as my wife does, but I mean, I love to do it, you know. And then you take it to the next level. You end up buying like a frothing machine. You end up like frothing chai and making frothing chai, and then you do like just weird things like that. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting the stuff that you can do with food. I mean, one of my chefs, who I said at the White House, He would make me do that. He would make me he would give me like say like he would say pumpkin and he would say like think of 5 ways to cut it, 5 ways to cook it, and 5 ways to present it, you know? So I look at that as like anything like even when I look at chai, I look at it as like 5 ways to prepare it, 5 ways to serve it, 5 ways that this could be indulged or something, So if it's not hot, can you make ice cream out of it? Can you make popsicles out of it? Can you take the milk fat that comes on top of it and use that to make burfi? Can you add that or do something different? It's weird things like that. That's how I think I propel myself to go forward. It's
I love that. I love that.
it's about I mean it's about making mistakes, owning up to mistakes. A lot of things that thing, a lot of like culinary arts is all about that. Is like you making a mistake, you owning a mistake, and then you understanding the mistake, and then you trying to excel from that mistake, and not letting that mistake dwell on you.
Mm.
It's like okay, so I effed up, so what? Okay, life goes on. Okay, cool. And then you go from then you make the next dish, but maybe you try that mistake again until you actually get it correct.
That's
Is
so
how I.
I like that. I like that. Well, I'm not going to take any more of your time. Was there any last more little nuggets that you want to share with our listeners?
No, I mean you pretty much covered everything. I mean, yeah, I mean, just don't ever give up. That's all I could tell kids. I mean, if you think it's hardship, I mean, look at you and I, Supreet. Look at where we're at, what we're doing. We're here to inform the public. We're here to tell children um, that there's a life outside of being a doctor, lawyer, engineer. I mean, there's nothing wrong in those careers and professions at all.
Mhm.
But I mean, we got to shift the mindset and the kids' mindset, knowing that there is things that you can do outside of this. I mean, we. We didn't even we there's so many professions that we didn't even tap into. I mean, going from like modeling, going from like, writing, I mean, astronauts, I mean, you think about, I mean, anything, animal control. I mean, there's so many things that, I mean, anybody can do anything as long as, you believe in yourself and maybe you might need that support, maybe you don't need that support. But I mean, hopefully you and I could be that support pillar to be like, hey, if they did it, why not? Why can't we do it?
Yeah, I love that. I love hearing that. I think अपनी community definitely they need that positive enforcement. भावें जो भी मर्जी कर दें, and sometimes you don't always get that from home. I feel like I didn't get that either from well, I didn't get it from home. So I got my support group from outside, and they were the ones that, गड्डी चली गई, like तकी गए, like just to make it go through. And
Yeah.
you're right. This is where we're at, and it's because of the support. It is because of the mindset. You don't let these um quote unquote losses affect you. You learn
Mhm.
about the lesson and keep moving forward. Oh, galti dobara nahi kari thi, just learn from it and keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, whatever Gulti it was, I mean, it's a lesson I've learned. It's not a Gulti at all. It's actually a life lesson that was given to you as a blessing. And that's just how it is. You know, it's yeah, I mean, you don't dwell on it. If you do something incorrect, that's how it is. But at the same time, like support groups, you should have enough in you to be like, I can do it on my own too. I
Yeah.
sometimes you need that little boost on confidence to be like, hey, good job and a little pat on the back. But at the same time, it's developing in your own self to be like, I got this, I got this, and knowing that.
Thank you. Well, thank you
You're
so much
welcome.
for this.